Hi, it's Clark on Temptress. In this video, I'm going to talk about this thing. It's by BougeRV. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I have trouble with Chinese company names. They call it an Alternator Charger. They asked me if I would review it. Never saw one before, so I looked into it. I went to their site. It's horrible. From the site, I had no idea what it really did. So we're going to do this video to talk about what it really does. We're going to find out if you need one, and you might if you're on a boat or an RV. We're going to see if we can learn something from this, something useful outside of this, and I'll give you the answer right now. Oh yeah, this is a worthy video, even if you don't think you need one of these to watch. And then finally, before I'm done with the topic, though it might be in another video, can we build our own really cheap? Let's find out. Let's start out with what it does. There are these things called power stations. They were calling them solar stations. They were calling them all kinds of stuff. Here is one that I kind of like. They're essentially a whole battery system in a box. They have a lithium iron phosphate battery. All the ones I review have lithium iron phosphate. Some have the other kind of lithiums that can like burst into flames. I won't review those. I'll never even mention one of those unless I tell you explicitly it's the bad kind of battery, and be very careful. Last summer I was asked to review this one, and I was kind of still in bad shape from the surgeries, and I said, yeah, because hurricane season was coming, and you know, I wasn't at my best, so it'd be nice to have power. I like this one. I very often, these go out to friends and stuff. I'm keeping this one. I'm going to keep this one in my house probably forever. I really like it. Anyway, it's the All Powers, and there's a video on that. I'll put it up there. I mentioned in the other video, there's a different way that I came up with to charge these, and it might be right for some of you when the power's out for a long period of time. But let's start out with how you charge one of these, and then how we can use that device to charge it maybe better. So this one's kind of neat, just in that all of the outputs are on this side. So you've got all the AC outlets that run off the inverter here. And then you've got this USB section, you know, for charging phones and such. And then this kind of a standard set of 12-volt connections, including cigarette lighter, you know, for those kind of things. Over here is how you actually charge it, get power in. And there's three sections to this. There's the regular AC plug. And then there's one of these, I believe they're, I'll put it up there. I believe they're called T-something 60s. They're very standard and they're very good. If you're looking for a standard in your vehicle to plug things together for power, I've now started using these. You open up the little door, plug in a regular computer cord, it'll charge at 1,000 watts, or you plug in something DC. I like that about this one. They don't just have a plug for the solar and a plug for this and a plug for that. They just say, charge me through this one port. Everything goes through the MPPT charge controller. Probably there's a little more loss for some of the loads, but I don't think that'd be enough to worry about, and I like it. I had plugged a 48-volt battery directly into that, and it charged it beautifully. So now I had a lot more capacity. Basically double the capacity that's already in here with a 100 amp hour 48-volt battery, and about the cheapest way you can store power, just a battery you bought. This system has a battery in it that holds about 2 kilowatt hours of power. It can be charged, like I said, at 1 kilowatt through that port. This port also is limited to 1 kilowatt, but that's a lot of power. That would be 2-hour charge time. And it has another set of limitations that are very important to our conversation today. It says here that it can be charged at between 12 and 150 volts, but no more than 13 amps. And what that is telling us, the way they planned on it, is if you hook a solar panel to it, or a group of solar panels to it, it will be okay and make power as long as the voltage is above 12 volts, and it won't hurt itself as long as the voltage is below 150 volts. So you can put a lot of solar panels in series, and you can charge it quite fast at low current because you have a very, very high voltage. The 13 amp number is more of a limit. It doesn't really concern things. If you offered it a power supply that could give out 50 amps, it would only accept 13. It controls what comes in. So that just kind of gives you a target. If you can supply close to 13, you'll be close to its limit. But the big thing is, if we supply power to that at a high voltage, our wattage is volts times amps, just Ohm's law. And if you'd like to know a lot more about that stuff, I have this playlist, which is kind of a master class in electricity, starting at Ohm's law and going through it all. Highly recommend it if you have no understanding. That'll get you there fast. But we're just going to assume you realize that watts are volts times amps. I guess that's the power equation, not Ohm's law, but they all kind of tie together really importantly. This device by BougeRV can hook to your car's battery system. It can hook up there close to the battery and alternator where there's a lot of current available, and it can take the 13, 14 volts that your alternator puts out at very high amperage, and it can step up the voltage, therefore stepping down the amperage, and put that out in a way that can be plugged right into this. If you charged this through your cigarette lighter, it would charge at 10-ish amps, which would be 10 times 12 or so 120 watts. Where if you charged it through this thing and you cranked it all the way up, this can charge at 600 watts. That's good, because charging fast is good, especially when you have a great big alternator and the amount of power it's using isn't really affecting your mileage greatly because you're hauling a whole camper down the road. So this could be very useful if you wanted to use this kind of thing as your power source while you're out and about. Same thing on boats, partly because we operate with an engine running, so we could charge up a power station if you wanted to do power station. But also if you had 12-volt batteries, you could, first off, just connect them directly, but they would charge slowly, probably the right answer. If for some reason you wanted to be able to charge this faster, something like this could quickly take the power out of your low voltage battery system, step it up and get it in there so that in an hour or two you'd be fully charged, ready to go to the beach or do some work with a big angle grinder or whatever you need this for. I put this back in the box so we can have an unboxing video. I usually don't do those, but I kind of wanted to do it for this one because I legitimately don't know how this thing works right now. I will stop the video if I have to work something out so I know what looks like I know what I'm doing because I don't want to waste your time. But we're going to do exploration on this, figure out how it works, how we should use it. And then probably in another video that'll come out real soon, I will show you how to build for very low money and really the one I'm going to build is going to cost like $25 in components, some wire, some bits and bobs of metal that you probably could have around, and put out more power than this puts out. But we'll see how that works. I've been wrong before. Let's start with this one. This is nice, and I'm not dissing buying one of these. I forget what they cost right now. I think they're around 200 bucks. Sometimes you want to DIY because you want control. Sometimes you want to DIY because you want a better one. Sometimes you're really trying to save the pennies and you can do it that way and then you can feel better about it. But very often, when things are only a couple $100, it's better just to buy them. It's all done for you. And this has bells and whistles that you would never put in. It has a Bluetooth connection. It just has all kinds of stuff. And it's in a nice case, and it would be a better install, especially if you want to sell the car or something later on. So let's open it up. And what do we find? We have a manual. I have already read through this. We have the main unit here, which does all the magic. It has a fan on it, so it's got some waste heat, as most things do, and it has a way of getting rid of it. And then we have, pretty heavy, what do we have down here? Mounting screws. And wires. That's good. Of course, I don't have a knife. Nippers. We've got some pretty heavy wire here. They put a fuse in it for us at the wrong end, in my opinion. You want the fuse close to the power supply because the fuse is there to protect the wires from burning down your car or boat. But, you know, at least there's a fuse in it. You would hook this side to your power supply. You've got whatever distance this is. I'm sure it's in the data sheets. And you power the device itself through these poles here. We'll do that in a bit. Then we've got this. This plugs into the device as the output. It's much smaller wire because remember, when you up the voltage, you can lower the amps, and it's the current that is limited by the amount of copper you have. So that would plug into there. Then this end gives you your standard solar panel connectors. Your power station is going to have some way to connect to solar panels. So if we put these together, now we have a wire that can connect to your power station. This one uses another one of these XT60s, and there we go. But I've seen them that use different kind of connectors, and you know, your mileage will vary, but this is a good approach. So here it is. Oh, it has this little waterproof cover, and I was wondering what it was. It's the way to get to the screw heads to lock down on those terminals. Will I have to use the big wire? Yep, looks like it. So let's grab the big wire. What size screwdriver do I need? Looks like an Allen wrench, and they supply an Allen wrench. Yep. So I back the screw off, shove in the ferrule. Nice setup. Tighten it down real good. Ouch. With this little handle, I think the appropriate torque is ouch. You always want high current connections in particular to be really tight, really low resistant. Ouch. Okay. And I'll leave this on the floor, but I'll bring the working end up. And let's hook it to let's turn the bench power supply on all the way. Okay, I've got the bench power supply set for 14.2 volts. It's two power supplies in parallel because I want as much power as I can. It can manage 15 amps maximum. So let's hook that up. Let's see what happens. It drew power for just a second, and now it's very low amount of power. Yep. It's been a while since I read the manual, but let's just see if it's intuitive. So there's some buttons here. One says, need glasses. One has a power on it, so I'll push the power button, see what happens. Got a green light. That's a good idea. The other one has like a little lightning rod thing, and I bet you the power powers up the device. Like if I hook to it with the app right now, I probably would be able to see it. And the other one should start charging. Let's turn the display on here so we can see what's going on. And we know there. So we hit the other buttons, just see what happens. Whoop, it woke up. It's drawing power, it's ramping up slowly, which is always a good thing. But that would be what an MPPT would like anyway. And I'm getting 168 watts into this, and then it stopped. Might have to read the directions. Okay, I'm back. It turned out this didn't like to run off my bench power supply, but I don't blame it in the least. You're not going to have a bench power supply in the real world. The car has a battery, so I just dropped a battery in the middle. This is the Blue Heron battery, really nice battery. And it's going to supply power when and it's going to supply a lot of power when this guy needs it. So it's a better test this way anyway. I should have done this from the beginning. Got some big wires. Let's just set my current sensor here for current, zero it out, and let's see what we get. From the battery right now, we're consuming 24.6 amps. Putting out into the supply here, we're putting out 10 amps. That's telling. That's saying that we are stepping up the voltage a bit. I fired up the app while I was away, and it's a nice app. It tells me that it's currently set for 30 volts only. And I know why they did that, because I imagine any of these could handle 30 volts. That's like a standard number for solar panels anyway. If you had a power station that couldn't handle the higher voltages, this potentially could destroy your power station. So they put the training wheels on. Let's hit that. And it says safety disclaimer, making sure that we realize it's our fault if we break it. Oh, even more safety disclaimer. Yep, I've read that. I'm a big boy. And now it's saying, what range would we like to choose? It's currently 30 volts. I'm going to step it up to 60 volts. Okay, I have to type in 60, I think. Confirm. There we go. Now it can go as high as 60 volts. I'm agreeing to friendly reminders that I could kill it if I don't know what I'm doing. Well, that's stopped, probably because it's got this new information. Waiting for setup to complete. Please allow 90 seconds before connecting to the storage device. So I'm going to disconnect it. Okay, I'm down to 15 seconds or so on the counter here. This just woke up again on its own, so probably the communication is done. 6 seconds, 5. When it hits 0, I hope to be able to use it at full feature. Done. And it went back on its own. I didn't hit the button. Let's plug it in and see what happens. So the supply voltage coming out of the battery is 13.1 volts. It's stepping up slowly in watts. It's up to 540 watts, which is all it's really rated for, so that's cool. It's drawing 60 amps from the battery. And remember, it's 60 volts coming out of this now, so it's delivering, again, just 9.6 amps into the device. Perfect. So we have a power supply being charged at 600 watts from a car battery that's simulating driving down the road. Pretty cool. Let's see what happens when the voltage goes down. I'm going to turn off the power supply. And what did that do to the voltage? Battery voltage dropped down quite a bit, it probably went below 12.8, which is a magic number for lead. And then this thing shut down for a little while. Since it's lithium, the voltage is going to go up. Lead batteries wouldn't be this way, and of course your vehicle has a lead starter battery. So this is pretty cool. Let's see if it does the trick again. It's going down. Yep, 12.7. Perfectly reasonable. My batteries were brought down to 12.7. I wouldn't worry. So that's good. It's smart enough to say, I'm not going to discharge your battery to the point where you can't start your car. And it'll just shut off. And if this was a lead system on this side, not lithium, it wouldn't be coming on again. I like it. I really like it. I'm going to build my own in the next video, but even if I like the one I built myself, since I've got this, I might put this in my truck for my voyaging on with the camper. Because if I decide to bring this with me, it's kind of a pain to be able to charge this through the DC system real slow. And this would charge it in, well, if it held 600 watts, what's that? 6, 12, 18, less than 4 hours. So probably it wouldn't be dead down. If I drove for 3 hours, it would be full and available. Just a little more power that's there. I think it's a cool deal. So, haven't done durability tests, of course, but I give this my approval. And I gotta tell you, when I read their ad and their website, it's so horrible, I didn't know what it was. But it looks like they do everything that needs to be done. Yep, I approve. I think it's cool. Bye from Clark on Temptress. See you in the next video, and we'll do a DIY version.